Hi there, Tech Wizards. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into the magical world of chatbots. Yes, you heard it right. We are going to build a chatbot AI using Gemini and React as well. So let's buckle up and let's get this coding party started. So first things first is that you need to go and create an account with Google AI Studio or Gemini API. Good thing is that compared to ChatGPT, you don't have to have any paid, you don't have to pay for your token, so it's completely free to start with. And you'll have some fun. And in the end, whatever methods you use for here, they are applicable to other chatbot APIs as well. It's just the context which is a little bit different. Now, you can go ahead and search for Google AI Studio, and you go and you click on this ai.google.dev/AI Studio. And you need to create an account here. But all what you need to do is that if you have a Gmail account, you can just sign in with your Google account. Okay, so I'll just go and sign in. And there we go. Now let's go to Docs. And you can see here you have some list of things you can read if you want to, okay? But we'll go into it immediately, but feel free after finish this video to play around with more of this documentation. First thing, of course, you need to get an API key, okay? So you go and click Get an API key, and you can generate one. And just make sure this API key that you use, it is private, okay? You should not share it with anyone. So already I have one created. So what I will do, I'll go and test this command in my terminal. So I'll copy this command. I'm on Windows, so I'll be using PowerShell bash. Open my terminal. But first what I will do is that open my note, paste this curl command here, and then I'll replace this API key string with my own API key, okay? So I'll go and copy it. I will delete this API key after the video is finished. So you have to make your own. Now I'll copy all this and go paste it in my terminal and run it. And there you see it is trying to get some details for us. So let it finish. There we go. We get a response back. And if you see the command, all what we are doing is that we are sending a request, okay? We're asking the content, explain how AI works, okay? So let's see what the response gave us back. So to give us an object with a content property, and that content have content, and content you have parts, and then you have your response inside the text. And this response you get back as a markdown. So when we want to display it in our UI, we will have to wrap it within a markdown. And you get also other details, for example, the safety ratings. Is it harmful? Is it have hate speech? It does have harassment. And you have lists of values here. You can check all of them in documentation to have more details. Okay. Now we know that we generate our API key and it is working. Let's go back to our project. Okay, now this is the app we will be building, standard chatbot UI. So we have an input field where the user will write their message and send button, and also the ability to clear the chat. So if you look at the code, that's what we have as well. So we have a state to store whatever message the user writes, and also we're creating a state where I want to store the history. So whatever message you write and the answer you get, I want to store them here so I can display them later as well. And then I have a loading state. So whenever I send a message, I want to see a loading message there, and also disable my button too, so I don't send many messages at once, so which can confuse the chatbot. And that's what you can see here. That's our input field, and that's our button for send message, and that is our clear button. Now, let's go back to our studio here. We created our API, but how we can get started? So it gives us a full documentation. We can go here and click documentation. And we will go here, get started tutorials, and you can see here tutorials. And inside the tutorials, it gives you a few programming languages here. We are using React, so we need to look at Node.js. And first things asking us to create our API key, which we already have done. The next thing is to install the SDK package, okay? So to use the Gemini API in your application, you need to install this Google Generative AI package for Node.js. So you can copy that, go to your terminal, okay, and I'll just to see package. Okay, that is installed. As soon as it's installed, you have to import it. You're using React, so you'll not be using require, but you'll be doing import Google Generative AI from Google/Generative AI. Okay, that is done. The next thing is that you need to access your Gemini API to get the responses later, right? So we have to create or initialize our Gemini API with our own API key that we created. So you can see here they're using process.env because usually these API keys are secret keys, so you don't add them as a string to your code, but you add them to your env file. But for the sake of this demo, because I don't care about this API key, I'll go and delete it after I'm done with this tutorial. So I'll just copy this and I'll paste it right here. Okay. So all what we are doing actually, let me get a meaningful here. Just we are initialize your Gemini API. Okay, so we're just initializing our Gemini API here. Now, next thing, once that's done, or of course, I have to copy my key first. Let me go back and copy it. I'll paste it right here. Next thing is that we need to create our model. As you know, the AIs, they're all just models behind the scene. Okay, so we have to initialize our model that we'll be using for our chatbot. So I'll call it const model. And we will set our gen AI we initialized here, okay, dot, I will say get generative model, okay, and this generative model accepts an object, and that object have a model property and have a name. That name, it will come from the documentation again, but if you want to see it, you can just go create a new prompt, which is actual UI for Gemini, chat prompt. And you can see here you have model, and then you have to list all the models they have at the moment. So by default, we'll be using the Gemini 1.5 Flash, okay? That is the default model for Gemini. So we'll be using the same one as well. So I'll just paste the name right there, okay? So now we created our model, and it's available for us to use in our chatbot. Okay, now let's go to the action and let's get our first response, okay? So at the moment what we want is that when we input something here, we click send, then I want to get a response from the Gemini API. So at the moment, my button here, it is having the send message triggering on the click. So all my code will go right there. Now, first things first, because we'll be an API call, so we'll have a try catch block. So if any error happen, we can catch it, okay? And then we will have finally as well. So we'll come inside our try catch block and we'll try to first call Gemini API to get a response, okay? So const result and we'll await and then we'll use the model, okay? That's how you get your API called. This model we initialize in beginning, that will be our like API endpoint thing that we'll be using. So model dot and we'll access generate content, okay? Because we want to generate a content, we're using a chatbot, so to be creating a text content for us, okay? We're not going to accept one argument, which is to input whatever text you want, okay? So for us, we will be passing whatever user inputs right there. So let's go our state, that's our user input here. Okay, so now we get our result. We have to access our response. So const response await for our result. When we get the result, then access something called response inside our result. Okay. Now, if we cancel log this, we'll see what we have. Let's open our console. Let's ask it, what is React? Send. And there we go. It takes a little bit time. So when we do the loading, then you'll see the loading state as well. So you can see here we get this response, and our response will be inside this text. Okay. So that's the one will be holding our response for us. And you can see it is a function. Okay. Now, what I want to do is whenever I get a response, I want to add it to my chat history so I can display a chat history right here. So I'll go here and say add Gemini response to the chat history. Okay, same if you are using actually the UI of ChatGPT or Gemini. So we'll come here and we're using a state called chat history. So set chat history, and we will say it will be an array. And first thing, whatever previous chat history I want to keep. So chat history. Then assign a new object. Okay, so this new object, we will have actually two objects. First will be whatever I ask. Okay, so it will be type user. Okay, and the second property will be the message, which will be the user input. Okay, that's what I typed as a user. Then the second will be append to it is whatever response I get. Okay, so it will be type, but this one is not a user, is a bot. Okay, and this you can't use anything you want. You have to use user and bot. Okay, to tell this message is from who? Is it from the actual user or it is from the AI chatbot? Now we come here and the message now will be the one coming from our response. Okay, so the message will be from response dot text, if you remember. Okay, now let's save this and see if this is working. So what is React? Send, and let's wait for it. We get our response back right here. And that's the text. Now I can't see my chat history. So let's select conditions here. Let me remove that. Save, and there we go. Okay, so you can see that is my user. That's the one I write, and this is my response I get back right here. Now, before we go a little bit forward, the response you get back from the API, Gemini API, it is a markdown. Okay, so if I go back to my component, this one chat history, I actually installed a React Markdown and I wrapped the response inside that. Okay, if I don't do this, this is how you see it. Let me just remove the Markdown. You can see that's how it comes. Okay, it comes like a markdown, like this is for this H2, this like for bold and so on, and then you have the code and etc. Okay, but this is not readable. So usually whatever response you get back, try to install React Markdown in your application and wrap that response in your React Markdown. Okay, so there we go. Our actual chatbot is working, right? So we just have to do a few things to clean it up, make the clear chat work. When we write our message, I want to remove whatever user did right before and reset it to an empty string and so on. So let's get those things out of the way. First thing is that when you send a message, I want to make sure that the user actually writes something. Okay, I don't want them to have an empty and click send. Okay, so we just come here inside our send message. You can see here, please provide me with some context. Okay, so because I send an empty message, I want the user to really write something before I call my API. So I'm just making sure that the user is have typed something, there's no empty string. And then also I'm triggering my set loading status. Okay, so I have the loader showing up later. Now we come our inside here. This is working fine. Our catch block is not working at the moment, but all what I will do is just cancel dot error and I'll display an error. Okay, but in real time you might have different scenarios to do. Okay, error sending message. And then finally, what we want to do when everything's successful, either error or successful, I want to set my user input state, which is this one, to an empty string and my loading to false. Okay, so that goes in the final block. Now let's save this. Let's reload all this. First thing, let's try send something. Nothing will happen. Now let's try say what is React, and let's hit send, and you can see the loading status is there. So it is loading for me. And there we go. I got my response back. Now, one more thing I can see is that my button here and make it work. So at the moment if I click, nothing's happened. So clear chat. So all what we have to do there is just set this chat history to an empty array again. And now let's go and try clear chat, and there we go, it's working. So now you have an amazing chatbot, it's working. Please feel free and get innovative and try things from your side. And you can check out the documentation for more details. For example, if you go to documentation here, at the moment we're just generating text from input, okay? But you can generate from images, you can generate from other things. So I can show you where you can go and try things. So we go again to tutorials. And down here at the moment, all what we have done is that generate text from text only input, okay? And we followed exactly what they ask us here to do. Now, there are other options where you can generate text and image inputs, which is multimodal, okay? So you have to use multimodal, so you'll be using a different model. And you have also other ones, which is multi-turn conversation chat, okay? So you can also here use a chat model as well. So feel free to add on more things and create different versions of your chatbot and have fun.